I really don't care what anybody says. America, to me, is becoming weird about a day, man. Things is just not what they supposed to be. But before we get into this video, I need you to like it before you light it, hit the sub before you hit the bud, join the team before you hit the green, and don't forget the
Hype me up. Hype me up. I genuinely cannot believe I'm saying this and that it is not a top of the page headline story across the country, but the U.S. Army just swore in 4 tech executives as lieutenant colonels. The CTO of Palantir, Peter Thiel's company, the CTO of Meta, Mark Zuckerberg's company, and OpenAI's chief product officer and former chief research officer, the company belonging to Sam Altman. These 4 men are all now 1 rank away from a general, second in command for field grade officers. There are 16 ranks lower than a lieutenant colonel, and these 4 untrained civilians just leapfrogged over soldiers who have dedicated their entire career and lives to the U.S. military.
That's the DEI diversity stuff right there.
Apparently, these men are going to work on targeted projects to help guide rapid and scalable tech solutions to complex problems. A sentence that means absolutely nothing, because clearly this is just a way of giving these companies access to top secret information without them having to go through any pesky background checks. And if that doesn't scare you, it really should. Because we already know that Palantir is building a massive centralized database using much of the information they acquired from Doge, Elon Musk's foray into the American government. These billionaire tech bros are compiling lists of our most sensitive information, our tax records, medical data, bank accounts, social security information, immigration status. This administration is allowing them to build the infrastructure for techno-feudalism, authoritarianism in the form of data and surveillance. It is a horrifying and blatant conflict of interest that harms the safety and security of all Americans. There should not be this much overlap between private tech and the U.S. government, certainly not between private tech and the U.S. military. I do not know how asleep at the wheel Congress can possibly be, but they should be shutting this down immediately. And every single one of us should be demanding that they do it. The people who are using the government against you are now taking over military authority. The corruption is calculated and staggering, and I can only hope our veterans and active duty military are paying incredibly close attention. And now that you know, you should be talking about it.
Here's the thing. I don't put nothing past any of these people that they just named, because these billionaires don't operate by the same rules that we operate under. Shit. Back in the day, Amazon used to fulfill orders for Toys R Us or KB Toys, one of the two, and they stole all of their customers' information, cut the toy company out, and went directly to their customers. They had everything on them already, their buying habits, spending trends, and all of that kind of stuff. So I'm supposed to believe that these people are not going to do this for the government to our detriment? Shit. It's already in their playbook, man. Businessmen are the gangsters. They the real thieves, stealers, the finessers.
This is the New Jersey State Police.
We're asking you a clarifying question. What the fuck is a First Amendment zone?
Into the designated First Amendment zone.
What is a First Amendment zone?
The troopers will point you in the direction of the First Amendment zone.
Where in the First Amendment does it say it only applies to zones?
This is the New Jersey State Police.
Oh my God!
This is the United States Army veteran. What the fuck is a First Amendment zone?
Amendment zone.
They are doing everything that we said they would do. The very idea of a First Amendment zone implies that everything outside of that zone is not protected under the First Amendment. So I have a question for you. Right now, wherever you're standing, are your feet in a First Amendment zone? Because if they're not, you may not have the First Amendment. Now, they're already making a list of these violators. Don't believe me? Here's a list of everybody that the federal government says is not protected under the First Amendment.
Wow.
It's a long list. They even have individual influencers on that list. Just regular American citizens. Now, you may be okay with taking rights away from people you don't agree with. But remember, you're not standing in a First Amendment zone. And one day, they'll come after you too.
I was under the understanding that the whole country was a First Amendment zone. Honestly, this is crazy.
So right now there is towns and counties all across the United States. Specifically right now, the hot spot is Utah and California. If there's any other cities, I would love for you to comment on this video and let other people be aware so they understand I'm not making this up. But towns and counties right now are rezoning areas for one, so that data centers can be put in place without any restrictions. And 2, so that they're able to take your water rights and they can control the well on your property. So if you have a well on your property and you're currently receiving free water because you have a well and you've had a well for God knows how long, they are trying to take that away from you. They are trying to monetize off of it. So what does that mean? That means that they could put a meter on there and 12 months later they could say, hey, we're going to start charging you for the water. They're going to use scare tactics. They're going to tell you that the earth is running out of water, even though we have had we've had water for thousands of years. It's not going anywhere, okay? The earth is 75% fucking water? Water's not going anywhere. Yes, we shouldn't waste water, but at the end of the day, they are simply doing that so that they can have control over it. It's just another way for the billionaires to get more rich. It's just another way for them to have more control over you, more control over your children, and more control over your entire aspect of life. You need water. You were born on this earth. Water is, in my opinion, it should be for everybody. There shouldn't be a price tag on water. Water should be free, okay? But anyway, call your local county, stay ahead, and don't let them put meters on your wells. I want you guys to look this up. Research Utah, research California. And if you have heard about this going on in your county or it's coming to your county, comment on this post and let everybody know. Water rights is a huge thing, and it's not something that we should be stripped of.
Dog, imagine trying to catch water that's freely falling from the sky and they want to put a price tag on that, dog. That is some crazy shit.
Oregon man was convicted and sent to jail for collecting and using rainwater on his own property, sued by the state for theft. Rancher Gary Harrington built 3 large reservoirs on his own land to collect rainwater and snow melt. He claimed the water was primarily for fire protection reserves and for providing water to wildlife. But the state called it theft and prosecuted Gary. A municipal code stipulates that all water within city limits, including precipitation, is part of the public water supply. The city requested the court order the removal of his collection system and impose a fine. Despite Harrington's repeated appeals, arguing, the water fell on my land, I'm not selling it. I'm simply using it on my own property. The court ultimately rejected his claims. Harrington was found guilty on multiple charges, including unlawful appropriation of state water resources. He was sentenced to 30 days in jail and fined over $1,500. The incident sparked intense backlash. Residents said it was simply tyranny. If a person cannot own the rain that falls on their own land, what do they actually own? Oregon man.
This is unbelievable, unfathomable.
In 1945, a French political theorist wrote a book explaining why government never shrinks back after a crisis. Every emergency since has proven his theory correct. You'd think a book called On Power, written right after a world war, would be about dictators. But the book isn't really about tyrants. Bertrand du Jouvenel's target was something more insidious: the emergency measures that never quite go away. Du Jouvenel's argument is that power doesn't grow through conquest. It grows through crisis. Every emergency creates temporary agencies, temporary rules, and temporary budgets, and each one of them builds a permanent constituency that needs the emergency to keep existing. The crisis ends, but the bureaucracy doesn't. Income tax withholding started as a temporary wartime measure in 1943. Rent control in New York started the same way, as an emergency wartime rule. Entire COVID-era programs are still funded years after the pandemic ended. None of them were planned as permanent. All of them became permanent, because the Jouvenel's ratchet only turns one way. So ask yourself, what temporary measure is being passed right now? In 20 years, it'll probably still be here.
I mean, the jokes write themselves, bro.
I was able to access zoomed in footage of every single person who walked on that trail over the last 30 days without using a password.
This guy is exposing a $7 billion surveillance company.
Myself, John Gaines, and Joshua Michael found close to 60 security vulnerabilities within or closely related to Flock Safety's ecosystem. We were able to connect to and completely take control of the ALPR cameras. We could view or modify the footage. We could install malware on them. We could view the hard-coded credentials credentials that led to other places, and there was even one that allowed us to track the real-time GPS location of police vehicles. I published a selfie video, literally pulled from one of the newly deployed flock cameras right down the road, and showcased how easily I was able to access zoomed-in footage of every single person who walked on that trail over the last 30 days without using a password. Some of these findings were reported to Flock directly, and some of them are now published and flagged by MITRE, which is part of Homeland Security to manage cybersecurity threats. Some of these are still rated today as high or critical vulnerabilities. Members of the U.S. Congress have cited my research in a published letter to the FTC calling for a formal investigation into Flock's negligence as a risk to national security. So how did Flock respond to all this? CEO himself claimed that Flock had never been hacked. I watched Flock representatives stand up at City Hall meetings just like this one, look people dead in the eyes, and despite evidence verified by MITRE, claim that Flock has never been hacked.
A few minutes later.
Yeah, there are not documented breaches online. There's documented attempts to intrude on a single camera online.
I want someone to help me understand, given the evidence that we produced, how anyone would think that signing more contracts with any third-party surveillance vendor would be a good idea without setting up an independent security and ethics audit first. I was able to access zoomed-in footage of
I got a partner who was telling me in Jefferson Parish, he stay in Metairie, that they basically fly the drones around his apartment. Like he'll be on his balcony or whatever, and the police drones will literally and stop right in front of your damn window. Shit crazy, bro. What you doing, bro? And they're heat seeking, not heat seeking, but they're they have the heat wave, so they can tell if you in there or whatever, even through the walls. They pick up your heat signature.
The scariest part about the 18 cops so far found to use the Flock system to stalk their exes, that it wasn't just their exes they were stalking, and we're not just talking looking up license plates a couple of times. This one police chief in Kansas alone ran his ex-girlfriend and her new boyfriend's license plates hundreds of times, using the information to then hunt them down. The fact that this is becoming more common and more alarming, and the fact that it's not just their exes, these cops are now being found to be actively stalking via the Flock cameras. This Missouri officer ran one woman's license plate over 300 times. Another officer in Florida running another woman's license plate multiple times, then planting an air tag on her, and then tried to get his colleagues to help him on stakeouts to continue to stalk her. This MPD officer wasn't even using it to track ex-girlfriends or current girlfriends. He was simply using it to track any woman he was interested in via the Flock cameras. This 35-year-old officer was found to use the Flock system to stalk his wife, his mistress, and his romantic rivals. There are now lists being put together of the amount of cops who are using the Flock system not to fight crime as it was intended, but what they're calling romantic stalking. This isn't even happening in certain towns or a handful of states. This is actually occurring across the country. The top 7 states being Florida, California, Wisconsin, Georgia, Kansas, Texas, Arizona, where these officers aren't just stalking women, they are stalking men too. The scariest part of
Hey man, you know what's interesting? If someone that works at a hospital goes into your medical records for like any other reason than them actually having to, they can get in trouble and go to jail and get fired and all that kind of stuff. The police do it, you get a little note like this. Where's the real punishment? The police should get twice the punishment that a civilian would get for doing something like that, because you're supposed to uphold the law. But this is that overreach shit. This is that over surveilling, because they have the capability of doing it.
Here's how the system works. You pay taxes to the government pools that money and uses it to provide the people with essential goods and services that they need. In this country, we've got a different system for getting the things we need. Take healthcare. We pay taxes to the government, and the government gives our money to a middleman, for-profit insurance companies or for-profit health providers. And the insurance companies provide health coverage in exchange for maybe some more money from us, and a deductible that covers not everything, certainly not your teeth or your skin or your eyes. It's a pretty good system if you own an insurance company. Companies like United Health and Aetna collect 70% of their health plan revenue from government programs. Humana, 90%. These health plan businesses would not exist without our tax money. And it's not just healthcare. It's pharma, oil and gas, higher education. Taxpayers subsidize these industries who then take their profits, and we still pay so-called free market rates for their product. It's a classic double dip. Here's how the system works. You pay.
Every day is something, bro. This is a scam.
The next page in 2031, anyone making less than $15,000 sees that. Check this out. I thought this was a mistake. I thought I was not reading this correctly. An increase in their taxes of 74.3%. And from 15,000 to 30,000 of 20.6%. Is that correct? Or is that, did you guys make a mistake, or is that
No mistake in the numbers.
The people at the lower income brackets are getting screwed over by a Republican majority that doesn't give a damn about them. You know, I'm somebody that was supposed to not go to college. I ended up working at Subway and Target. I had zero health care. And to me, you would tell somebody in my place, you know what? We're helping you out. Just giving you a little bit. But the billionaires are the ones that make the most money and deserve the most help. That's your logic. But you all want to tout a tax plan that increases taxes on people making under $30,000 a year,
Crazy.
the folks that are struggling, and then cutting their Medicaid on top of that. That's the most insulting thing I've ever heard in my life. The next page.
Like I said, bro, America is getting weirder by the day, dog.
There's going to be a food shortage. Not maybe, it's already in motion. And here's what you need to know if you live in the city. Last week, the president declared a food supply shortage and lifted the tariffs on fertilizers to soften the blow. And here's why. Since late last February, the Strait of Hormuz has been nearly closed. And about a third of the world's fertilizer moves through that one waterway. When the president starts dropping tariffs, you know there's a real problem. So why does fertilizer matter to you? Fertilizer helps crops grow. Less fertilizer, less crops. And smaller harvests. Smaller harvests mean less food. And when there's less food to go around, the prices go up, and that's a shortage. It doesn't start with empty shelves. It starts with climbing prices. And here's the part people miss. Grocery stores are not warehouses. They hold about 3 days worth of food, and they depend on constant deliveries. The shelves look full because deliveries never stop. Disrupt the deliveries, and those shelves empty fast. So what gets expensive first? Not everything at once. Imported and out-of-season produce goes up first because it rides on global shipping. Then eggs and chicken because feed costs hit them fast. And dairy and meat as the feed keeps getting pricier. Grains and bread come out last. That's next year's harvest, and the UN says it's going to be even smaller. How do you get ahead of it? Decide as a family how much of a buffer you feel comfortable with. I feel comfortable with 3 months. You might be comfortable with 2 weeks. Either way, that's your call. Then build up from there. Buy what you already eat and just buy in depth. If you like peanut butter, buy 5 cans of peanut butter. And then look to shelf-stable items. Pasta, beans, rice, oats. Every week buy a little bit extra and you'll start building out a stockpile over time. Start small, stay consistent, and you'll never be that person panic buying when shit hits the fan. We knew this was coming. Follow for more practical tips.
I mean, it's practical if you got the extra income to be doing that. People are already stretching themselves thin.
So look, y'all, I'm in Costco and I see this emergency food supply thing here, right, for $64. And, you know, I've seen this online, but it just reminds me of right now what we're going through as far as, you know, people not being able to get their food card. I know it's cut on partially right now, but we don't know what's coming next, y'all. And the fact that Costco was selling this emergency food supply just gives me an idea that I better get it. You know, I always buy stuff. I try to anyway to buy stuff and be prepared for emergencies and stuff like that. I'm telling you, this right here is just a sign to me, like if Costco is already selling emergency food supply and we see how the government ain't got no problem of cutting people off food, we don't know what this country is going to hold for next. We don't know what the world next. So if I can give y'all any suggestions, start being prepared for what's happening, because we don't know what's coming next as far as with food, with money, with anything. I mean, we think here in America that we got it made, but places like Gaza, other places around the world who are suffering really bad, you know, they know what it's really like. But, you know, at some point it's going to come here too. So if you got a chance, start stocking up on stuff and preparing for what's coming next, I suggest that y'all do it. I do it all the time.
So we're going to go into something right now, All Things Bugs. That is a company sponsored by Bill Gates, funded by Bill Gates and the Department of Defense and the Defense Advanced Research Project Agency that is coming out with insect-based foods. Huh? I'm going to say it again. Insect-based foods. Cricket protein powder, worm-based ravioli,
Man, stop playing.
I'm so serious, brother. I need y'all to put up on the screen if you can. All things bugs. I'm just letting y'all know how far this is going, which is why we have to separate from the system. And when you say separate, it's in stages, it's in degrees, it's in levels. Don't eat what they feed you. Feed yourself, right? For example. Okay, so we have to grow our own food. All right, that's one. And a lot of our people are doing that. The reason why they're able to fund these kind of corporations like this that produce insect-based food is because there are enough mouths that keep coming to them. It's invested in. Just like the next thing I'm going to mention now is they're coming out. Remember, we talked about the shots, and everything your brother said turned out to be true. Now they say, well, damn, we know that they're not going to take these next round of boosters and all this nonsense. So what are we doing? University of Riverside in California. I'm so sad that it's in California again. But University of Riverside has been studying putting mRNA, messenger ribonucleic acid, which is the primary component of the shots, putting that in lettuce, potatoes, soybeans. So basically, instead of you taking a shot, because we know you more than likely ain't gonna take another one after what we just did to y'all, you're gonna eat this lettuce though, and them burritos and them bowls. You're gonna eat these potatoes with them eggs and all that you're eating. I'm serious. Y'all hear what I'm saying to you?
Yeah,
this is a very real thing. mRNA injected foods.
How you be
so you're
knowing
gonna
all
eat
this
your
stuff?
vaccines instead of getting the shot of a vaccine.
How you be knowing all this stuff?
It is my duty. It's my purpose, right? It's my mission. Like we all have our place in the mission. This is mine. Not only do I have to know the information, I have to spread the information, then I have to create solutions with which to activate on that information.
And all this stuff can be researched and fact checked
all day long. That's why I'm giving you names, references, all that. Because we're not going to get up here and just spew some nonsense just so we can look good and look at me. Brother, I'm not into that nonsense. We do this in real life. They'll do this. They'll put it in written text for the most part. So right now you have it in scientific studies. If you Google all things bugs, please do it right now, live and in studio right now. Google it. I want y'all to see it for yourself because it is unbelievable. They're saying that insects are the #1 untapped resource for food on the planet.
Man, I just seen a video the other day. It looked like it was in Asia somewhere. They was frying grasshoppers up. I swear to God.
Except they're high in minerals. That's how they talking. It's like a movie. Like
I think bugs, Bill Gates. Wow.
Yeah, that's what we want right there.
So they're funded by the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation.
That's one of them. They're also funded by the Department of Defense. They're also funded by the Defense Advanced Research Project Agency, DARPA, which is the area of the United States government that has robotic snakes, robotic dogs, robotic cheetahs. You have robotic animals.
Didn't in the beginning of the video we heard about one of them people who work for Bill Gates being involved with the government now, like one rank below being a general? Bro, they got their hands in everything, dog.
America's destined for a famine. Brooke Rollins came on yesterday giving Americans a stark warning about the U.S. beef production industry. Let's break down the numbers. You look at this chart. You see U.S. cattle inventory has dropped to the lowest level since 1950, while U.S. beef production has increased to the highest level since 1950. What's to make of that? Put simply, we've been injecting hormones into our cattle over the last 70 years to increase the average size by over 30%. You look at the farmers, ranchers. We've lost over 17% of our ranchers in the last decade. Over 100,000 mysteriously disappeared. On top of that, we've been seeing bioweapons like ticks infiltrating our farmlands, our stock. Guys, the answer is simple. Yes, you will see a famine in the U.S. in the next 16 to 24 months.
The USDA is now paying farmers millions of dollars to rip up 3,000 acres of peach orchards. This plan will cost these farmers $550 million in revenue and create an artificial shortage of canned peaches. Why? Well, all because a single company went bankrupt.
Right now, 500,000 peach trees are being ripped out of the ground and then set on fire. And it's largely because of one company.
Del Monte, known for its canned fruits and vegetables, has filed for bankruptcy.
The nearly 140-year-old.
Boy, everybody and their mama had a can of whatever they sell in their house before. They going bankrupt?
Company recently initiated bankruptcy proceedings, leaving cultivators with a whole lot of fruit they can't sell.
On July 1st, 2025, Del Monte declared bankruptcy. But they still told their farmers that their contracts were safe. They told them they were going to be able to sell the company and everything would be okay. But that turned out not to be the case.
Now, workers tell us that they're still in a state of shock after finding out this news.
We never thought the name Del Monte would go away, ever. We thought that was kind of guaranteed.
It's a household
The cost from losing all of these contracts with growers is going to total over $500 million.
And now the USDA is giving farmers $9 million to rip up their peach orchards and convert to a different crop. I'm bringing you this story not just because it's shocking, but because I believe that it might represent a major shift in where our food is grown.
Yeah, just rip out all of the stuff you feed yourself with.
This week, Trump made it legal for farmers to put human fecal matter into your food. Unfortunately, you did hear me right. There's a product known as sewer sludge, also known as biosolids. It's made of human feces, industrial waste, firefighter foam, household products, manufacturing byproducts, and it contains PFAs, also known as forever chemicals. Already spread on millions of acres of farmlands a year, but it had heavy regulations because of the Biden administration. You see where this is going? Sewer sludge, which sounds gross even coming out of my mouth, has already sickened farmers, killed livestock, polluted waterways, poisoned meat and food products that were grown on the land. And you know what the Trump administration and the EPA under Trump decided to do? It got rid of all regulations for sewer sludge. It said, you know what? Use it as much as you want. Use it freely. Under the Biden administration, sewer sludge was only allowed to be used in home gardens for flowers, not for food products. The Trump admin said, nah, you can use it for that too. The food that you're now going to be buying in the grocery store could literally be grown in human fecal matter and PFA forever chemicals. Isn't that lovely? Because there's no regulations at all. They don't even have to tell you. There's not even any way for us to know who's growing that and what farms are or are not using sewer sludge to grow our food. And I fear no one's even talking about this. Make America healthy again, right? This
shit's sad, bro.
So the federal government wants to put you in prison for 5 years for trying to protect your digital privacy. I cannot make this stuff up. Take a look at this video.
American citizen wiped his phone clean at the border when immigration tried to search it. And now the federal government is charging that American with a felony that could put him in jail for up to 5 years.
Now here's the backstory behind this entire thing. The American was coming back from the DR and he was going through Customs and Borders Protection. They requested his phone. He was not being suspicious of anything, but they wanted to search his phone anyway, even though he is a US citizen and they had no warrant for his phone. So he handed over his phone and he gave them the code to unlock it, but he had a security measure in there. If somebody else tried to unlock it, their face wasn't matching his face, even if they had the security code, he would wipe all of his metadata off of his phone automatically. He doesn't have to do anything. That's exactly what happened. And now the federal government has arrested him, charged him, and are trying to put him in prison for 5 years for interfering with a search and seizure at the border. Now, here's the thing that's most important about this entire story. The obscure law that they are using to try and put this man away, an American, for 5 years, has never been used before, but under the Trump administration, they found this obscure law, and now if you do not give over your unsecured information on your phone at the border, you could be put in prison for 5 years. That is a fascist dictatorship, and that is exactly where we are headed. Right here at the Daily Rumble, we are fighting to expose this type of nonsense, and we need your help. So
what the hell he had in his phone that he knew he just needed to get off there before they got in there? It could be good, it could be bad. You know, I don't know. But still, I didn't even know you could do no shit like that. That sounds like some 007 shit.
We're going to be in a situation where once your checking account reaches a threshold of $10,000 worth of activity, then all of your information is going to start going to the IRS. Let me tell you how this is going to work. We're going to be in a situation where once your checking account reaches a threshold of $10,000 worth of activity, then all of your information is going to start going to the IRS. To put that in perspective, the average family's checking account activity is about $61,000. So that's virtually everybody. So it's going to go to the IRS. They're going to hire 87,000 new agents. Part of those agents are going to be looking at that information, again, at a cost of $80 billion. At that point, if they see something that they don't like, they're going to start sending you a threatening letter. This is happening now.
And this might make you even more angry. So, is this your social security number?
Yeah, it certainly is.
Okay.
How do you have my social security number?
So I have your social security number. I see all your fishing licenses and you know, hunting licenses from Alaska, Oregon, Virginia. I mean, I even have your driver's license number in Florida.
Oh, that's funny.
Looks like you haven't changed your phone number in a long time.
1995.
One thing I want to tell you about how I have your social security number and why is kind of ridiculous, to be honest with you. Have you heard of the National Public Data Breach?
No.
Okay, so
can I just say that I keep my assets in gold coins buried in a place that, you know, only my children can identify. So,
well, you know
I'm totally safe. You can't drain my bank account.
Well, let me show you something. You might not be able to drain your bank account, but here is your signature from your warranty deed.
How do you have that? That is my actual signature.
Yeah, I'm aware.
Which is not my name. So I don't know how you would have that.
Oh, I pulled it from public record.
That is crazy.
If I use your social, I have your general location. I know you use a PO box to buy everything. I found behind the PO box. The national public data breach was ridiculous, to be honest with you. It was 2.8 billion records about a year and a half ago, roughly. We know there's about 300 million Americans. So if there's 2.8 billion records in this database, there's a good chance that you're in it with your social security number, including anyone associated, etc. Maybe you have all your assets in gold, let's say. Like, I have the ability to call your electric company and pretend that I'm you. And we want people to know if they're in this, immediately, because if your social's exposed, you should be freezing your credit, right now.
The scariest part about this is that he didn't even get this information from hacking. And this is what most people don't understand about modern society. Your information is constantly being stored, collected, sold, leaked, cross-referenced, and aggregated by companies that you forgot you even gave information to. Most people have already left behind enough digital breadcrumbs to build a profile on. And the craziest part is modern society, we normalize it. We trade the privacy for convenience so gradually that people barely even question it. Everybody wants Face ID, smartphones, cloud storage, one-click ordering, apps connected to apps, but no one stops to think what happened when all this information gets combined together. That's the real danger. It's not one guy sitting in a dark room typing fast. The real danger is data aggregation. The average person today probably leaves behind more behavioral data in 1 month than historical rulers left behind in an entire lifetime. Now think about how crazy that is. And to be clear, even people who don't post online still exposed. But social media oftentimes completes the puzzle, because now strangers don't have information on you. They know your routine, your habits, your children, your relationship, your vacation, your lifestyle. People build psychological profiles on themselves every day and don't even think about it. And this is why historically the wealthy and the powerful value discretion. They understood that visibility creates vulnerability. And today, the average person has way less privacy than they think they do.
Yeah, that's wild, dog. If you somebody that got a little money or whatever, and you like to flash it and show people what you got, you just closed on a property, you're traveling, you own crypto, you're basically making yourself a target for anybody to try to sue you for something, because we know that you have things. The rich people put their stuff in trust, and they hide it, right? They don't want to really own it. They want to control it, right? It'll be in a little safety box, the trust or something, and you don't know who owns it. But with us, shit, you know everything, dog. People know exactly where you stay, so they can come after it if they want. This is wild, man.